I'm recording. Okay, we are live. Thank you very much. It is May 7th. It is 2 days after Cinco de Mayo and 3 days after May the 4th be with you. If you never heard that one before. Lots of stuff going on. I do understand, and I was waiting to share this data with my fellow colleagues at the Digital Roundtable, that the Texas House has passed a bill where they are creating the Texas Nuclear Institute, and they're declaring that Texas will be the capital of nuclear energy. And they will build 100 gigawatts worth of nuclear power in the next 20 years. Can you believe that?
I missed you. I missed who was going to build it, Andres.
Llewellyn, I just said that the House of Representatives in Texas has passed a bill to become the capital of nuclear energy and build 100 gigawatts of nuclear production in the next 20 years.
Somebody will build it, but it may not be Texas.
And when they start that?
They just passed the bill.
Yeah, they've been talking about it, and my question is it should it relate to controls also?
No, that's not part of the bill. This is all about generation capacity.
Right, it's all about generation. Yeah, but you know, Texas has always been very, very innovative, and the bill is passed. And
have you your email address right?
Yeah, and the governor wants to do this, and but we're going to run out before 20 years. That's the problem.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's the sort of latest hot news. But before we get started, let's have our John Sibley Butler play some music.
This old guitar taught me to love a love song. Taught me how to laugh and how to cry. Introduced me to some friends of mine to open up my day. A friend to have a long, lonely night. What a friend to have on a cold, lonely night. This old guitar gave me my life, my living, and all the things I love to do. Like serenading the stars that shine from a rocky mountain high. Most of all, to sing my songs to you. Ooh. I love to sing my songs to you.
All right, thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Johnny. I'm trying to catch up with all these latest movements on the climate change and the carbon, and we have a great guest today that we'll introduce in a moment. But innovation continues to move fast, and there's a lot of talk about quantum networking, quantum computing. Today we have the 2025 award ceremony for the Austin Technology Hall of Fame, which you got inducted last year. I don't know if you're going tonight, if you have time, but Angelo Angelou will be inducted among many other people, all kinds of friends. So lots going on. So what say you?
Well, yeah, congratulations to the inductees to the Austin Hall of Fame. I think I plan to run by there tonight, and Carol Thompson is going in, who started our networking, and it's great, and Angelos is going in. A lot of my great friends that contributed to this miracle that we call Austin, Texas, from nothing to jobs and to wealth. So it's a lot going on in innovation. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing a lot of innovation that goes beyond our current way we communicate. I see a lot of compressed innovation. I see a lot of innovation that might be to the world, quote, World Wide Web. I see a lot of innovation really, really related to how we travel. If you look at motorcycles that fly, not automobiles that fly, motorcycles that fly, it takes you back to the World's Fair back in, I don't know, what was that, 1890 or 1910 or whatever it was. We can never perceive what might be in the next number of years. We can only dream about it. And the thing about it is, since we cannot see the future, then we need to create theories about the future. We've always created theories through our television series, The Jetsons, flying cars, cell phones, Superman, people going from place to place by just disappearing. So it's an interesting thing when it looks at the history of innovation. But more important than anything is how the innovation will bring jobs. Our problem now, I mean, if you just look at the person who lives from paycheck to paycheck now, right? With the tariffs and inflation, it's just going to kill them. It's not going to kill the 50% of Americans who are in the stock market and who have savings. But the family that's going from paycheck to paycheck, paying their bills, have a business, working, and with inflation that's coming with the tariffs, I think it's going to be really, really, really bad. So if you look at the country, you have to start looking at the whole generation without savings, and what does that mean for their life? Have we just created certain kinds of jobs in a certain kind of economy for them where they cannot save? And of course, if the interest rates are low, if you have some savings, then the interest on that money is very, very low. So I think we're a very interesting time. And for Americans, I think for most Americans, it's about everyday jobs. It's not about the stock market. It's not about how much money you have invested in the stock market. It's about the debt. It's about things that you can do. It's about kids coming out of high school and college who cannot find employment now because of the uncertainty. So, so as I try to look into the future, I always look to the future of jobs and occupations and opportunity. The other thing, I think that China is a success story. And I think we are really, really not looking at that success story. I think that we're talking about China in a negative kind of way. And it's a competitor. It was, and it's okay to have competition. But as we demonize China, we should also look at what they try to do. But I think in the long run, because they don't have freedom, remember that only about 100,000 people in China belong to the Communist Party. The rest are just entrepreneurs. I was a professor at the University of Beijing, trying to put in their innovation and entrepreneurship as they create companies, and they really wanted to do the old case study. But I was at the University of Beijing, which is their Harvard, right? But if you look at it, the Communist Party is just about 100,000 people. And for the entrepreneurs, when they make money, they want to put it in America where there's freedom. In other words, the Communist Party, you can do well, and they can just come and take, what you've done. So the world is going to be interesting. So China has done a great job when it comes to manufacturing, but when it comes to savings, they don't have the safety nets that we have. So this is why the Chinese they save so much. So some interesting sociological, economic dynamics we need to talk about with China, but we don't need to demonize China and talk about having a war with China. We need to look at what they have done. So it's an interesting world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Llewellyn King, what say you? Come closer. Come closer.
A similar moment is at hand, a tipping point. We will not continue in the United States to be the leaders in technology and therefore the leaders in everything else, including probably politically in the world, if we continue on the disastrous course on which we are now embarked of reducing the amount of money we spend on research, whether it is in the National Institutes of Health or the Science Foundation or the Department of Energy with its 17 extraordinary laboratories. If we cut, as the president is proposing, savagely reduce the amount of money we spend for being in front of the world, we will be behind the world. I agree wholly with Johnny that it is foolish to establish an artificial enmity with China. It is an extraordinary country loaded with talent. We don't approve of its governmental system because of the lack of freedom, but they have lifted more people out of poverty in a shorter time than has ever been done in the history of the world. And people who can do that are people who should be taken quite seriously. We have led the world in medical research, in every aspect of scientific research for so long that we've come to believe ourselves to be invincible. That we are not only disregarding, we're not eating the seed corn, we're trashing it. We are establishing a regime of second-rateness for the future, and it is a political action. It's an avoidable action. There's no inevitability to it, but it is also seminal. And if you don't remember, seminal means something happens after which nothing is the same again. We may be at the point of losing leadership, and I think at least the country should be aware of the decision that has been taken on its behalf by its elected leadership, and that sliver of the political class that is now reflected in the administration.
Got it. Well, let's switch the gears to talk about climate and carbon and all that. We have Carlos Castillo, who's the Chief Operating Officer of a company called GlobusTerra Limited out of the UK. Carlos happens to be in Italy today, and he'll be with us for the hour. GlobusTerra is, based on their experience and knowledge and international standards and carbon credits. It's a land developer, and they have quite a portfolio of plots of land that they have secured with different types of partners across multiple continents. And I'm curious to learn from Carlos, how are things going in the carbon credit market and what's going on with his farm and what the latest projects that he has going. So Carlos, welcome to the program.
Hi, Andres. First, thank you for the invitation, Andres, John, and Larry. The other thing, I'm going to excuse myself from my English. If I have something that I don't kind to say, I'm going to tell Andres to translate to the program. Yes, we are here, GlobusTerra, almost 4 years that we start to work, and this was a project that we start like three friends that we want to do a project in our lands, in our country, and because we see that people like Bill Gates, they are doing these kind of things. And 4 years ago, we inspired in Bill Gates because he buy lands in the U.S. and he do carbon credit projects, IFM carbon credit projects. And we three friends start this project in our country. Our country, is Venezuela. But when we're going to start this study, we saw that Venezuela is not commercial. And then we say, why we don't do this around the world? And in 4 years, we get lands in Africa and Europe, South America and US. And now we are around 6 million acres.
Okay, so you have secured 6 million acres. That's huge.
6 million acres to the right of the land to do carbon credit project, different carbon credit project. We have mangrove to do blue carbon. We have IFM. We have a Red Plus project. We are doing in this moment. We get a very beautiful team because we get a financial team. We have a technical team from South Africa. We have a technical team here in Italy, and then we get this connection with all these people, and we the last month, no, the last 2 months ago, we do a partnership with the second company biggest in the world from climate for carbon credit is First Climate from
Okay.
Germany.
Okay, you did have a partnership with First Climate out of Germany, got it?
Germany, the technical team, because we saw that the investor want to have a more secure from our knowledge, and we get this with this partnership with First Climate. First Climate is this. There are in the world there are 10 companies who do this kind of job. The biggest one is Sao Paulo, and the second one is First Climate.
Got it. Got it.
And the beautiful thing that we are learning all the day, we learn new things, because all the day we saw that we do consulting of carbon credit, not only for the lands, we do consulting for the industries, for the companies, we do consulting for we do a consulting. There are some people who are making the blocks from the construction with the hash, and we saw that we can make carbon credit for that. And we start do consulting, and now GlobusTerra we are 10 people who are working, and we have a networking around the world. We talk with countries, governments, and we are very proud of that. And
So Carlos, help us understand real quick. What is the value of a ton of carbon if you remove it? Or what does it cost? It
depends because it's a very good question, because we can compare the carbon credit is a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Because you have in California, I'm here in Italy, Toscana. Toscana, the Chianti is the best wine, There are so many wineries who do the same Chianti.
Sure.
And maybe all that wineries, they are good. They're doing the same. But there are some wineries, they are more, I don't know, you say...
established. Yeah, they've been there for a long time.
And more intelligent, and they do more marketing. Or they go to the shows, they win some stars, they win some...
that applied to carbon too?
That applied to carbon too, because if the project is government, if the project is private, if the project have some ratings from some companies who give you the rating, like net zero and B0 in US and net zero here in Europe. Then if the project have a social impact, important social impact, that is going to be definition of the
help define the quality of the carbon.
The quality of and
so
then
help us.
You can find a voluntary marker. You can find Red Plus carbon or IFM in $8-12. The new
so for a ton of carbon, it could be $8 to $12.
Voluntary market. But if you go to blue carbon, we can talking about $30. Blue carbon is with the mangrove, with all the
because as I was preparing for this and read a little bit, so mangroves trees produce the best kind of carbon capture.
The best kind of carbon. But the mangrove, if you restart mangrove, you are doing more social and more climate impact for in the community. Because
Got it.
if you restart the mangrove in Florida, you can the hurricane is going to be menos impacto,
Have lesser impact because of the vegetation will protect the land and all that.
There are going to be more fauna. There are going to be more
right.
And the mangrove, if you have one tree, you can in 1 hectare of tree, you get 5 carbon a year. From 1 hectare of mangrove, you get 20 carbon of reproduce of year.
Got it. So before I turn
Carlos,
before I turn you loose, I turn you Johnny, be gentle, be slow on your questions, and I'll help if I can. Okay.
Carlos, but the purpose of your company is connectivity. Is that right? Connectivity with people, right? And there was a great scholar, a sociologist by the name of Manuel Castillo from Berkeley. He had a concept called the space of flows, and how the space of flows would interact with the digital age. That is, you are in that space where you allow companies and people to interact with each other. And the carbon is just the science of the material, right? I mean, if you could do it with guitar strings better, you would do it with guitar strings, right? Yeah. So my question is this: how do you see the interconnected world, right? The interconnected world of, I call it the space of flows. It just means that we talk through our computer now. We do everything through our telephone. We do it through flow like we're doing now. How do you see this interacting with the old economy of space where we had to be there? So your definition, your connectivity of what you do, your interconnectivity is based on, of course, the connected society of the last number of years. But is there a place for the society where we don't have that connectivity in doing business, shaking hands, flying to see each other, rather than doing it over your carbon connectivity? Andreas, did you get that?
I'm not.
I get, but it's difficult to respond. It's difficult to respond in Spanish. In English, it's more difficult.
Pascal, vous parlez le français, vous ne parlez pas le français?
No.
What about Ogiga desu? Japanese? No. So my question was, look, here's the deal. We are so connected now. What's the impact on our economy and the connectivity that you're having right now?
We are working in a new project that is in GlobusTerra. We are working that is how do you connect the people with the carbon? We saw that problem. We saw that we have to connect the retail with the market of carbon credit.
Yes.
And that we are doing this moment a platform, a tokenization platform. How we want to, when we produce our carbon, we want to tokenize, to do the
tokenize. Yeah.
Tokenize our carbon.
And so that everybody can have a piece of the project.
Got a piece of the project. And you don't sell only to the big company. You can sell
anybody
who have a cell phone can see your project in Florida, blue carbon project. I want to restore. He can buy, but when he buys the carbon, for us it's better because we earn more money when we sell retail.
Yes.
But the interaction, because that money is not from GlobusTerra or from the landowner. That money is for the people who work in the project. It is I don't know, the 80% of this more is of the
Yeah.
I don't know, the income, the 80% of it go to the project.
Yeah.
Right.
So
more.
Carlos, right now, let me put another one. We live in a society that value carbon credits.
Yeah.
That's all right, because carbon credits allow us to do the connectivity that we do. So you're selling carbon credits. So, but that was a social definition of what's important. And so what I'm asking is, will we ever lose for our economy the importance of carbon credits? If you look at what the president is doing, will we ever say that carbon credits themselves and are not as important as they should be? I just asked the question in another kind of way. You see what I'm saying, Andreas?
Let me chime in real quick.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Déjame.
I mean, everything that we do is based on a lot of carbon credits and et cetera. That's our connected activity, right?
But
But
it's just
carbon
starting.
credit was a social invention, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think carbon credits. Okay, now it's like bomb. You can buy everything, but I think that the carbon credits
Right.
is something that the people you offer money to the people to do the things right for the world. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you guys an example where I think this is going, and we'll switch to Llewellyn, who's itching to jump in. So when you go to the store and you buy a box of cereal, it tells you the food content, it tells you the calories, how much salt, how much this, how much that. Eventually, there will be another label that will tell you the carbon footprint of making that cereal.
Right.
And everything will be connected that way. So you're not only buying something for what it's worth and the value of it, but you'll be able to see how much carbon it took to create that thing. And that will be the ultimate connection between a human being and any kind of carbon, supply chain conglomerate. Anyway, Llewellyn, jump in. You're muted.
My
Yeah, now.
questions are fairly elementary. You have all this land. Have you bought it? Do you lease it? Is it owned? And is it going to revert to the country where it's located eventually, or is it going to be in perpetuity held by an English company?
We have the lease of the land. We have the lease to the land to develop carbon credit project.
So basically the way it works, Llewellyn, as I understand it, is you're the owner of a piece of land, and if you sign a deal with them or anybody who is like them, you're agreeing to not develop your land and continue to produce and have a forest there, trees, so that you can.
Okay, that was going to get to my next question.
Right.
Do you have a planting program? Do you plant on the land, or do you leave it fallow?
In 6 million acres, there are more than 20 different kind of projects. There are planting projects, there are agriculture projects, there are reforestation projects. There are some, and we have some land in Peru and Ecuador. There are some species in extension, a puma, you say.
Yeah. Animals in extinction. Yeah.
Animal extinction. There are the red plus. The red plus is the conservation of the forest, but we include to preserve the
animals.
And that give you the additionality to give more
extra value for the land.
To get more carbon.
Right. Carlos, you said that that mangrove is the best concentrator of carbon. Are there other uses for mangrove? It has to grow near water, doesn't it? You can't grow mangrove anywhere. It's really a water-related kind of forestry, isn't it? Does it have uses? Is there a mangrove mangrove wood that can be harvested and used for something, furniture or building or anything.
Yes, the wood of the mangrove, they are depend of the country, but in country like the South America, they cut the mangrove to do the to cooking, to do a lot of things. Then in US they cut the Everglades, they cut the mangrove in Florida to build house, and different. Depends of
What is the life of a mangrove tree? Does it take 30 years to grow? Does it take 100 years to grow?
It takes 25 years, 25 to grow.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Can you plant mangrove as you can plant other kinds of trees? Do you plant it from a cutting or do you plant it from a seed? How do you get new mangrove forests?
You can plant the mangrove. This is very expensive work, but you can do it. It's a very specialized technical. Not too much people do in the world.
I still want to
After
know.
the mangrove, what is the next best concentrator of carbon? What tree comes number 2 in carbon concentration?
El bamboo.
Bamboo, and that grows very quickly, often where you don't want it.
Well, that's my question. I think that the carbon is interesting. What's the substitute? What's the value to the? We make assumption that the carbon will be good forever, right? And my original question was, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a buyer. What's the contribution of what you do to the connected world? Why are you so important to Andrea's world of connectivity and doing business? Why are you in the business world? That was the question, Andreas.
Well, I think the reason is that, again, carbon credit, in my opinion, carbon credit is just a nascent commodity that is starting to be understood by a few, especially, most markets begin with the enterprise, right? The enterprise gets involved, the enterprise buys cryptocurrency, the enterprise buys carbon credits. Eventually, it becomes so popular, the individuals then have a connection to it, right? So what Carlos was describing basically is that in some of the projects they're thinking about creating NFTs or tokens on the crypto side, so that I can buy a piece of a project, and watch the project on my phone create, goodness, right? By how many carbon credits did it generate a year, and so on and so on. And eventually that NFT, if the project is phenomenal and it gets purchased multiple times by other buyers that want the credits ongoing basis, then that NFT value should grow, right? If I bought it for $1, and then eventually maybe it's worth $100, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So that's your value add to the connected economy. It's not quite crypto, but it's something that I can invest in.
Right.
And so what I like to do is to see how you and your product is related to my everyday life. Why am I doing business? And it took a long time for me to get the question over, but that was it. I mean, you do the carbon stuff.
Well, so Johnny, the ultimate connection is the fact that the companies that are buying these carbon credits today are the big offenders. So the companies that the airlines, the companies that are big polluters, the cement companies, the oil and gas companies, those are all the big buyers. So if you buy product,
is that a political thing that might leave?
Yes, in Europe. Yes.
Can I ask Kara a question?
Yeah.
How do you certify that the credit is valid? If you've got 6 million acres, which is a very large amount of land, what prevents somebody from saying that you bought a credit on 1 million acres or a portion of that? And how do you know that it is in fact a credit that you got? How do you, what is the backing of the credit? How do you certify the credit? If you buy $100,000 of credit, how many acres is behind that credit? And what stops you from selling it to 6 people?
In other words, Carlos, are there companies that certify your projects and make a living, like Moody's and Standards and Poor's, that certify the issue of bonds and debt and all that? Is there a similar thing in carbon credits?
That is, first, the 6 million acres is around all the world. There are 20 different kind of projects. We do the prefactibility and prefactility of each lands or each project, because we have project of 1 million acres, we have project of 500 hectares. Then when we, with our technical team, do the prefactibility, we decide the company who going to certificate. There are 3 big companies. There is Verra, Golden Standard, and American Carbon Register. There are more companies, but there are not. There are the certification of this company. They are not good for the market. You have to do with these 3 companies. With Golden Standard.
So Carlos, time out. So do you pay these companies and they bring their people and they certify?
You pay your team, engineers, and them to do the PDD project. Then you pay the auditor of this company, and they come to certification your credit. Then if you want to get more value for your credit, you pay the rating company.
Okay, so there's also a rating company.
There are also rating companies, and important is doing Silveria in US, Silveria, and in Europe is B0. It's like they give you the Michelin stars, like a restaurant, and they give you, and then you get more value from your credit.
When you sell a credit on say 500 acres, just say it's a credit on, but is that for 1 year, for 10 years, for 100 years in perpetuity?
1 year production.
1 year.
Then if you want, you can do a strategic, and you can sell a future if you want. But the biggest companies, like the oil company like Shell, they usually buy the future of the project. They buy the production, and they buy 10 years of the production.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And
I think the business model is much clearer now.
Yeah.
I think it's now. So what's the biggest challenge do you have for the future? I mean, obviously you have not. I mean, you have the competition is there, but it's sort of handled. What's your biggest challenge as you look to the? Are people going to stop buying carbon credits? It's going to be unpopular. Will it be here forever? Can a president do a proclamation and do away with it? I mean, how do you see your business in the future? Very interesting.
I see we have 10 years that we have to run, because we have to get the net zero and the Paris, you know what, the
Paris Accord. Yeah.
The COP 28, 29, the goals that we have to get in 10 years. And, you know, the company is like the people. They do the things in the last time. I don't know, how do you say? And
at the last minute. The last
minute.
Yes.
And we saw that, you know, that the first goal is in 2030, and this goal is around the corner in 5 years. And we saw 4 years ago when we start, the biggest company, yes, we know that we have to reach the goal, we have to buy carbon credits, but it's too long. And we saw this year, the biggest companies, they are here in Europe, because when Trump's arrived in US, they changed their mind. But here in Europe, all the biggest companies, they don't get the goal from in 2030. They're going to get the more taxes, more I don't know, they're going to more, the interest of the bank, they're going to be higher for that kind of company, and they are very active in the carbon market right now. We see if I say the curva, ¿cómo se dice this? Andres, how do you say
What?
The quad is going? We are going to have 10 years.
You mean the hockey stick? The hockey stick.
The hockey stick is going to be 10 years, important market. Then it's going to be like established, and then
Right.
we our company, we are working with the tokenization. We are working for the consulting. We are working, but the huge is this 10 years. I don't know if you understand me. So
yeah, the next day, because we have this rush of avoiding, the meltdown of the planet. So the next 10 years, the demand will be very high.
Yeah, thank you for sending me that, Andreas, because I think that as we think about business models, we think about competition, we think about future, and the future is, I guess, Andreas, is building the new forest economy, huh?
I think that I don't see the competition. I think that it's because in this market is not too much competition. I think it's more the conscience of the people of the company who he have to get in quickly to this market.
Yeah, I think the beauty of it is the following, in my opinion. We are learning little by little how to extract more value from the existing assets in the planet. So if you own a lot of land, if let's say you own all the parks, and like the US owns all these parks, the US doesn't get any revenue from owning all these parks. But if the United States were to do a deal to put all these parks towards carbon credit contracts, then the US would get paid for just owning the trees. You see what I'm saying?
Weird.
If you're a farmer, and you don't want to do anything with your farm, you don't want to produce anything, you just want to leave it raw, wild, you can now monetize it and make money by just looking at it, by selling the carbon credits. Matt, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Andres, that does not reduce any more carbon. I mean, if the trees are already there, they're already protected. Selling credits on them is a fraud because it doesn't save any more carbon. It only saves carbon if you're protecting the trees from being cut and the land used for some other purpose.
Precisely.
A national forest in the US is not being used for another purpose, so you cannot logically monetize it.
Well, you could develop it, and that would eliminate it. You could develop it, Llewellyn. Don't say that it's nonsense, what I just said.
I didn't say it was nonsense. I said you cannot monetize something that's already extant and will continue to be extant in its present situation.
You can monetize if you don't take care of that forest is going to
disappear.
You can get higher carbon credit, but if you have some forest and you take care of that forest, like firewall, like you talk with the all stakeholders and around the forest. You do all to take care of the forest. You get carbon credit about that.
I think so. I think he was struggling with the idea that you got the impact on forestry is a better forest. I'm looking at some stuff now. Forestation, you have more forests, and the question that Llewellyn asked was, what does it have with airplanes putting out more carbon? That was the
Well,
question.
this is why the big offenders like the airlines buy carbon credits.
Yeah, but they're still putting they don't reduce the carbon.
No, they need to buy credits to compensate for the fact that they're polluters, right? And so because their business is to pollute. So
Yeah, that's right.
unfortunately, the companies that are in the science of flying have to use fuel that burns, and burning creates CO2. And so until that changes, they are polluters. And so this is a mitigation strategy for them to be good actors in a sustainable world, right?
So I'm reading Llewellyn, listen to this. I'm reading on a website. It says, afforesting 14 million hectares of abandoned land across Europe has the potential to add 2.2 billion to the European economy.
Absolutely, absolutely. The United States should commit all the land that it owns on parks to a carbon credit program, and it would generate revenue by selling the carbon credits to third-party companies that
But
need it.
Llewellyn is saying it's still pollution happening though. That's what Llewellyn is saying. Right, Llewellyn?
I'm saying that you're not removing any more carbon if the forest already exists and is going to continue to exist because it's on protected federal land. You're only if you introduce and save forests from some other use are you actively subtracting carbon from the atmosphere. Isn't that right, Carlos? I mean, if a forest is there and it's going to be there in perpetuity,
it's not right.
Because
we all the I don't know, in the 7 million acres that we have, we only going to do 10% of the reforestation. The other 90% is conservation of the forest and restoration of this already exists.
So what you're saying is you can also plant a forest, right?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
but the carbon from that, the creation of carbon,
When we do
it takes a long time.
When we do this versatility study, we ran the satellite and we saw the forest 10 years before, and then we saw 10 years after, and we saw the degradation of this, but not less tree degradation is different. It's different when you cut and degradation. If you work to stop the degradation, he's going to go more tree, more animals, more flowers, more, and the ecosystem is going to be better.
Sure.
And then you get the carbon credit.
Okay.
That's
what I was digging for. See, the thing about it is, the interest in me is kind of like Llewellyn's question. So I'm looking at the connectivity between.
And you have to know something. To get the first carbon in a project, you have to work 2 years in the land.
Right. But the answer is you connect it to our economy because the airlines have got to operate. That's the connectivity. The big polluters have to operate. So my original question was this flow of space, that's the airlines, right? And therefore, you are connected to the economy by providing carbon credits for them so they can continue to pollute.
Yeah, they continue to pollute, but you go to the Amazon, you go to, I don't know, the Everglades in Florida, you go with this money in the, I don't know, in Africa, in Kenya, and you go with the money in Mexico, and you restore the mangrove, restore Everglades, restore, and you continue to pollute, but give me money to restore. That is the basic. And in what with that money, I get people, I get new employers, new contract, new too much people.
So without carbon credits, I couldn't fly from Austin to New York, from New York to London.
Sure. That's what they say, Johnny. They say that
And that's the connectivity to my economy. So therefore, you need it so I can fly, right?
Yeah.
Johnny, they say that 90% of all the excess carbon created comes from industry and the rich. So the people who have yachts and airplanes and helicopters and all this thing.
Okay.
And so those people, a lot of those people have a sustainability program, right? An ESG program of sorts, and they buy carbon credits.
Yes. Okay. Well,
In
that
fact,
answers the connectivity problem. That's why he is important for the economy. Yes.
But I don't know if you notice the following. Go and try to make a reservation in Southwest or American Airlines or Delta or United next time. And they are selling you the ability, when you buy a ticket, you can buy carbon credits towards your ticket. I don't know if you've noticed that.
No.
Yeah,
Llewellyn, had you noticed that when you fly, Llewellyn?
I don't buy the tickets. I'd have to consult with my wife who buy. Or with our travel agent, but I've never consciously been aware. I have a lot of difficulty in understanding how you can maintain the integrity of these systems. And sometimes there's a very large power plant in England which is said to be a green power plant. It runs entirely on wood chips imported from the US. Now, this is fairly controversial. People say, wait a minute, if you're bringing US wood in to burn in England, are you really saving the planet?
No.
But, I would say no, but certainly the people who operate the power plant think so. I forget the name of it. It'll come to me later, but I can't remember it now. And there are many of these things that, people say they have a lifetime because it's doing this. I'm all in favor if it works. Personally, I think we need in the United States a carbon tax. We need a market in carbon pollution. We should have a carbon tax. We should be able to buy and sell futures on that carbon market. But the administration, particularly the conservatives, have always been against a carbon tax, not probably because it's a carbon tax so much as it's a tax. But it's been proven that the quickest way to bring about change is through taxation. And you see it in everything. When you pay for something, you get more of it. When you charge for something, you get less of it. These are the bases of economics. We wanted to reduce carbon seriously in the US. We would tax carbon production and the market would make an adjustment. Instead of that, we try to make the adjustments in the market without taking the decisive move which could bring it about. But that's the political problem that we live with, and there are political problems all over the world. But ours is a disinclination, sometimes pathologically disinclination to do certain things, one of which is to raise taxes on anything. We are big on tax credits to get things done, and that works very well. But if you raise taxes, you get them done even faster. If you raise taxes on carbon, you would see a great deal more of industry moving to non-carbon sources, and it will
Sure.
be a natural marketplace evolution rather than something which is artificially imposed on them. But such is the situation. It's the Drax station. Somebody sent you, Andrew sent it to me.
Yep.
Yeah, Drax. I was trying to remember it. Anyway, Carlos, I'm sorry that you're being submitted to this argument about what you're doing is clearly very desirable and I think works, but it's only a small part. And I do think it is vulnerable to abuse. I was wondering, in your timber holdings, are you inventorying the timber? I've done several articles recently and interviewed people or broadcasts, I can't remember which now, in which there now is the science to have very accurate measurement of the entire inventory of a forest, from the crown all the way down the trunk of the tree. So we know everything about that tree, including the amount of carbon it will harbor. I was just at a plantation in Georgia and met a drone operator who was examining the carbon content of trees in the forest on the plantation. I thought that was very interesting science because it gives you a basis to start an exact evaluation rather than a sort of, we think it's a good idea because it's green and tall. And I think you brought that up very well, Carlos, when you pointed out that mangroves harbor a lot more, or harbor a lot more carbon than some others. I was interested to learn about bamboo because bamboo is very quick growing and has quite a lot of uses. It also can be a great nonsense plant because it's very hard to eradicate it if you don't want it. Beware that you want it when you put it in because it's going to be with you for a long, long, long time.
Very true.
You know about that, Carlos.
The great thing is my friend out in Lakeway said, who invented the pet rock, is that he's doing well economically. Carlos, so congratulations and continue to help save the planet in your way, and to and get more forests under your control. And I will look and try to maybe look at my airline ticket next time. I have never really associated that.
Look it up. Look it up. You can
should buy some carbon credits, Johnny, for driving that car of yours.
When you buy the carbon credit in your
I could.
Carlos, tell us
higher than if you buy in GlobusTerra.
No, it's Andrea's car. Andreas needs to buy the carbon for his car.
Whereabouts in Italy are you?
Right now in Treviso, near Venice.
Good, very nice, very nice.
City of Prosecco.
We're very fond of Italy. We use up a lot of carbon whenever we can, or produce contribute to carbon pollution whenever we can, flying to Italy.
I want you to know that there is an Italy, Texas also.
I beg your pardon?
There is an Italy, Texas in Central Texas.
Treviso is the city.
Italy, Texas. I mean, I don't know why these countries keep stealing our names. We have an Italy, Texas already. Now Italy stole it.
We have Paris, Texas, London, Texas, Italy, Texas. Come to Texas, Llewellyn.
Did I tell you the Texas story about a Texan is looking at the Liffey River in Ireland, and he's saying, well, there's not much of a river in Texas. We have the Rio Grande, and we have. And the Irishman said, well, sir, if you can suck as hard as you can blow, you can take it with you.
On that note.
Carlos, it's a pleasure to meet you remotely. I should know whether we ran into each other previously.
Oh, yeah, we were at the 360 together. Oh, yes.
Yeah, 360, yeah.
You can
Final word, Carlos, tell us what's next for GlobusTerra the next 90 days. What's going on?
I got to go. I've got a hard stop.
In 90 days, we are working in the blue carbon projects in Mexico, and we are going to start. Then we are working in the platform,
Mm-hmm.
get out in 5 months, and
Okay.
and we want to get more projects, but not lands projects, industrial projects.
Sure.
We want to start the commercial thing. Want to start to get right to do industrial carbon credit projects. Industrial.
Got it. Well, we'll keep track of you, Carlos, and we'll have you back.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you, John. Sorry for the English. Perdón.
Here's I need to play.
You're good. You're good. Johnny, take us away.
Oh, my
I want
bags
to
are
say
packed.
something. You know how is the language who the most people talk in the world?
Language. Which language?
What language the most people talk in the world?
Chinese, Mandarin.
No, the Gabriel Garcia Marquez say, the writer. You know what is?
What's
What?
that?
The bad English.
The bad English. Got it.
All my bags are packed, ready to go. Standing here outside your door. I hate to wake you up and say goodbye. But the dawn is breaking, it's early morn. The taxi's waiting and blowing his horn. Already I'm so lonesome I could cry. 'Cause I'm leaving on jet plane.
Woo!
Right.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right,
Carlos,
let's
all
tell
the
everybody
best.
there tonight hello. I'm doing some stuff at home. Okay, take care.
Bye, guys.